Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing? I hope we are doing well. Hi, hi, Nicole. Hi, Legal. How are we, darlings? Happy Friday. I may be quite hyper. I now have an energy drink. Fear me. Mother Dearest has arrived.
Let me move away from your feet.
I bought it today when I was out because I went shopping. I actually went outside around people today with my actual mama, because my mom actually took me shopping today and she took me for breakfast. You know, free food. I can't say no to that. And she was like,
who would dare say no to free food?
I know. Jumps on mama. Hi, Bunny. How are you doing? Bunny has arrived. It's like midnight around her time, bless her. I've made the mistake of like taking some big gulps of my energy drink, and I can feel a burp happening, but I don't know when.
At least it's coming. At least hope it comes out the attic.
Yeah, it's one of those like I'm ladylike to a point, and it's one of those like, you know, you get real when it comes to me, like, you know. Also, I hope you like the slideshow and stuff as well. And now like Scion gets head pats too, Bunny, as well. It's 2 a.m. here.
Yay!
Yeah. I was like, I figured out how to do that. You like my little will-o-wisp as well? They're my little wisps.
Oh, the fire things?
I got a little fairy up there. Hello, Sir Wolf, staring at the beautiful tail. It's hidden.
There it is!
Oh no!
It's hidden!
That came out of nowhere. Oh my god.
It's no longer hidden.
I am so sorry. You know when you can tell, but like, it's fizzy fizzy drinks out of a can are evil. Oh my god. I am so sorry. That was a good one, Mom. At least Bunny takes it in stride. Oh my goodness. Oh god. What's Legal want? Legal wishes you a fantastic stream. Oh, you precious little fucking bean. And he says that you're extremely adorable and adorable in every way. You're precious, Legal. I fucking love your face, Bibs. You're cute. And hello, Nozomi and Scion from Nicole. Oh, Nicole is always here.
Hello, Nicole.
Nicole is one of the OG supporters. I love her so much. Like, I like, I nearly made her cry with a validation the other day as well. And I was like, oh my god. Not from like sadness. I'm like, oh, I can't handle drinks like Sprite or cola. Yeah, if it's usually I'll like have a glass so it dissipates the fizz a lot for me. But if it's straight out of a can or like a bottle, you best believe I'm burping at some point, because it just, I remember somebody bought me an entire case of like cream soda off my throne once, and I'm obsessed with cream soda. And they were all in cans and stuff. And I remember, like, I would just drink it like it was fucking water. To the point, you know, you get a burp, it comes through your nose. Like, first. It's like nose first burp. And I'm just like, oh my god. My ears, eyes, and nose burn. Oh god. Those burps be fucking evil. But I've been girly. I should do, like, nail ASMR, like, Like, I was like, I've got, like, trying to make sure, like, I don't hurt myself when I do stuff. I was like, me trying to open a box of fish fingers today to feed Tiny Dragon was fucking hilarious. Because I was like, you're not letting me puncture this fucking box. And I was like, I ended up, like, ripping it. Ripping the top of it. Just like, no. My first nose burp was so painful, I started crying in the restaurant. Those things are evil. Nose burps are evil. Just saying, like, they come out of nowhere. I sneezed so hard today, my uterus punched me. That was so, like, weird today.
Ooh.
Yeah, like, for me, like, I was in town today with my mum, and we were going around, I was looking for a new, like, air freshener diffuser thing, like a Reed one. Because wax melts, I never tend to remember to use them, because my sister got me one. So, I ended up, like, going, you know what, I'm going to get a Reed diffuser, which she gave me, like, around Christmas time, and like I can just set it up and forget about it. And so I was looking through stuff, but we walked past the laundry detergent area, and because there's so many mixed smells, like, I'm fine with normal smells and perfumes, but it was the combined effort of all these, like, cleaning products that just sort of went, nah, bitch. So I was like, I could feel this sneeze coming along, but it waited ages to happen. So we were going past the pets section, and we were getting treats for, like, my doggo and my mum's cats, right? And then just out of nowhere, I just let out this entire row of, like, 6 sneezes to the point where I had to cross my legs because it was just punching my uterus. I was like, why? My sneezes don't usually do that. And I'm just like, why are you forsaking me today? Don't have those cute Oh, no, my sneezes are not cute either, Bunny. It's more like, you know, dad sneezes. It's like, hey, you're hearing it everywhere. Like...
Oh, God. It's almost like my sneezes where I sneeze, but for some reason I hold it and I blow out my back.
My sister has the cute sneezes, so she'll go achoo, achoo. Like, she will do that. Like, my sister has those. And then there's just me with just man sneezes. I'm like, nah, you get the man sneeze and just a boom. Like, and it's one of those, I'd rather be like, right, we're out. But the thing is, I don't sneeze too often at all compared to, like, most people. Like, my poor mother, you can't buy her perfumes or, like, smelly stuff for Christmas because she is, like, it sets off her sneezing. Like, she can't have any, like, smelly candles or anything. Like, she uses man's deodorant because females' deodorants have that perfume to it which sends her into a frenzy of sneezes.
Oh God, I know.
And she's got hay fever and stuff as well, and like asthma, so it all hits my poor mum. And then my sister's there with all her perfumes and stuff, and she sneezes a lot too. And then for me, it's like I don't sneeze that often, and like maybe like once, twice a day, maybe. But when I do, I get like 6 to 7 sneezes in a burst, so I just have to like pause what I'm doing. Like, one point, I was, like, trying to make a cup of tea, trying to pour the water in, and I literally had to stop pouring, hold the kettle as still as possible, and just sneeze for, like 30 seconds. I was like, Jesus Christ, trying to make sure I didn't shake this kettle. I was like, because I didn't have time to put it down. I was like, no. 10 to 15 in a row. Excuse me. It's happening. This is a fucking can of, like, Rockstar. I was like, no, this is happening.
Before I forget, I am slowly making an attempt of making that food I talked about earlier.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Because I know if I don't eat in probably like in the next 3 hours,
I get hay fever as well. Oh,
I get hangy.
He's a hangy man. Don't worry, we'll
hangy wolf.
During the folklore streams, I always make it a point to take an intermission break about like an hour and a half in. So we can like go for a bathroom break, make tea, because I'm in a onesie. Do you know how frustrating it is to go pee in a onesie?
No, but I've heard horror stories.
It's one of those, like, I'm kind of thankful it's got a zip, but it's like getting your sleeves out and stuff. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna wear my nice onesie today. You know, we had to order Tiny Dragon a Gengar onesie for his World Book Day stuff at the end of the month.
That just sounds adorable.
Yeah, he's into Pokemon at the minute, and it had to be Gengar, so we were like, all right, bud, we'll do that. You know,
it has to be the scariest. No, wait, Haunter's the scariest ghost. Never mind.
But it's one of those, like, he refused to have a Pikachu one because, in his words, Pikachu is basic. And I'm like, I can feel you on there. I'm more of a Raichu girl myself.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I can see where he's coming from. I mean, Pikachu's you know what? Hot take, because I don't give a shit. Pikachu is overused. A lot.
Yeah, I get really bad allergies because of all the pollen. Yeah, that sucks. Like, most of my family, like, have hay fever to the point where it gets really bad. Sometimes it, like, my eyes will get a bit dry, but I don't have any of the really bad, like, reactions like my mum and my sister do. Like, when hay fever season comes around, they're, like, antihistamine up and they're just like, close the windows. I was like, oh god, no. That doesn't sound fun at all. But yeah, I had a very nice shopping trip today. That I treated myself to some very nice nails. I'll be sure to send like a picture of them in the Discord at some point when I fucking remember. I also got a new fidget toy, but it came in a pack of 2, and I made like Tiny Dragon pick one because he goes, "Can I have both?" I said, "No, I got one each." And thankfully he chose the orange one because I get my green one, and it makes a little clicky noise, like makes a little clicky noise, and it's one of those like. I'm always stealing his things. No, so I was thinking of joining you soon as a PNG tuber. Oh, I'm so proud of you, baby. Yes, honestly, that's. I think, like, if Bunny sets up like doing art streams and stuff, like she'd do very well. Might need you to guide me through it as I senpai. I can help you if you use Streamlabs and stuff like that, honey. But you want to focus on getting that iPad sorted and stuff, so like you could possibly do your art streams, because I definitely think people would come to to see your art streams, especially because you made my model. Like, how fucking talented is she? Like, if you go on Bunny Bay's Twitter, you'll find it in my credit section. You can like check out, like she did a whole gallery piece, and she used like my character sort of like as a base, viewing all the gallery stuff, and you can see a whole bunch of it artwork. Gosh, stop, mama. No, I will fucking love on you, child. I am such a big supporter. Like, the cutest thing happened today. So, because I was out with my mom today, Tiny Dragon was like, "Can you ask Nanny if she'll come to watch me play football next week?" And she called earlier, and I checked with her schedule, and she's got the days off, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll definitely come and watch him play some football before we pick him up." And I was like, and he just looked so fucking happy. He was just like, "She's coming," because she works a lot, so he doesn't get a chance to see her often. And I was just like, oh, just having him happy is just like such a cute thing. I have to get up at 9 a.m. tomorrow to take him to his girlfriend's birthday party, though.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, Tiny Dragon has a girlfriend. Now, mind you, get how sweet this fucking thing is, right? So she's called Daisy, lovely kid, right? So I asked him what he wanted to get her for her birthday, and he said her favorite flower, obviously, but I want it to be fake so it won't die. So I was like, okay. So I got him a bouquet of like artificial daisies to give her. And he finished writing, like making his own a birthday card for her today. Because she handmade a Valentine's card for him recently. And he like drew a little cake, some daisies. He drew a picture of like those two together, and he wrote like "I love you" on the card. And I was like, look at him, he's just so kind to people. But he was so respectful about when he asked her out in like November. He got this bag of sweets, goes over and asks her out, and she says yes, and then he turns and introduces himself to both her grandparents who dropped her off that day. Introduces himself proper like a gentleman, and then when he saw both her parents, he introduced himself again, to both of them, and they absolutely adore him. And for me, this kid doesn't mind that Grayson's, has autism or ADHD. She just enjoys his company, and he's a bit much, to be honest, but like, he just looks so happy, to be honest, and we don't force anything on him. Like, to him, no kissing or hand holding till they're teenagers. And at least I think it was like Valentine's Day, he at least asked her as well. He said, would you like a hug? He said, would I be able to give you like a hug? And she said yes. Like, he asked, like he straight up asked. He's very respectful to people. Plan is to make art streams and some attempts to play games as well in the future. I'm able to afford a mic. I can have art ASMR or note journal ASMR kind of thing. And my god, Little Dragon is quite the gentleman. He is! I would suggest, Bunny, if you do plan to stream, save up for like a mic or something. If you do plan to stream. Like, it can be very hard to stream in silence.
Yeah, and you don't need to have like a really super
Oh, no.
fancy one. You could go with like one that I can recommend that I started off with is the Snowball
Yeah.
or the Yeti, and either one will be a perfect start for you.
But for me, I started with my headset. I literally had a headset, man. Yeah, like you could literally start with literally just a headset with your headphones and mic, which is what I did on my laptop when I first started with these folklore streams. And I used to do, because my laptop was a dinosaur, I used to do internet browser games because like that was all my laptop was handling. But I can't remember what type of mic I have. The blue something. Let me see if I move my pop filter. Yeah, I think mine is a blue something. Fuck do I remember? Blue Snowball, yeah. I have a blue Snowball. It's right in front of me and I'm like, what is it? Let's lift up my pop filter and be stupid. But yeah, definitely recommend it. And you would definitely get, I would definitely hype you up. Eisen would hype you up. You get so much fucking love and support for, you know, everything. Ooh, what am I doing? When you get the Discord pings, it's like, who is talking to me? I also do need to make sure I make a holiday announcement, like a thing I can add to my streams and my Twitter for when I do go on holiday in April. Because I'd be like, yeah, I don't want people thinking I've died. I mean, who would miss me? I wouldn't. I'm a menace. Y'all the best, of course. Of course. It's always good to network and stuff. That's what I did, you know. I started networking to, you know, and also research. One of the best things you can do as well, Bunny, watch different VTubers and different art streams as well. So you can learn how they engage with audiences, how, you know, they go about setting up stuff when it comes to their art. Honestly, like most streamers I have engaged with are always happy to offer some form of help or advice to people. The nice ones, at least, you know. If I start as a PNG tuber, oh yeah, PNG tuber is going to be easier for your computer, because I originally tried to go into 3D models with VTuber Studios, and honestly, it hated my computer, my laptop. For me, I'm gonna be setting up like a subathon at some point, and the money's gonna also go towards like a live 2D version at some point. But for now, I'm always gonna be happy with a PNG model because, you know, I'm not having to like worry about head movements and shit like that. You know, so I can like multitask as well. I'd be paranoid, but it's like, but like, I also don't have to worry with my model as well about eye stuff, because when you're trying to stream and move a model with glasses, you either need extremely big framed glasses so your eyes are fully visible, or you're gonna have a bad time, you know. But yes. So, how much do you know about Welsh folklore, Si?
I don't want to say zero. There might be a few that I may have heard of, like just from like creatures that are just well known around the world.
Okay.
So I would say maybe a very small amount, but not like the entire thing.
Okay.
And that's where I'll leave it.
Okay. What's your well? You only know. I know you know a very few limited words of Welsh. You know what dog is.
I don't. Oh, right, you're gonna have to remind me. I
It's
have a
key.
shitty memory.
It's key. It's key. But yeah.
Key. Oh, right, key.
Yeah. So I've been covering like Welsh folklore for a while. I do have, if you are interested in any that I have already covered or the ones you've missed, I archived all of the VODs on my YouTube for Folklore. So I know you like learning stuff, so there's always going to be some good stuff you like there. The last bit I covered was about how Satan is relevant and included in a lot of Welsh folklore stories and myths and things like that. And how he was perceived by a lot of people, how certain other types of gods and deities were sort of like created from like his image per se, like satyrs and stuff like that. We've recently covered like Saint David, and things like that. What else have I covered? Excuse me. We talked a lot about the Fae as well, the fairies, and like how they would captivate people and things like that. We also have in the picture slideshow, you'll see pictures of like creatures as well as places of interest as well. That little face there is the Tolworth Taig, also a representation. Tolworth Taig is basically what fairies are, what the magic like ladies of the lake are and such like that. Like it's interesting. There is a lot to cover. Like I swear to God, my entire research folder for the part I got to, which was like Satan, ghosts and spirits, was at least going on 200 screenshots plus.
Oh, jeez.
And that was just for that specific topic. I'd already accumulated over 100 more from before I got to this particular branch of like Satan, ghosts and spirits, right? So yeah, I spend a lot of time doing this, and it's an ongoing series I do plan to keep doing. Once I finish Wales, I plan to tackle the other countries, like Ireland. There's like Scotland. There's England. There's Ireland is one I particularly want to tackle next. It's also a thing.
I know.
It's one thing I know you're interested in as well.
I know of already a folklore that you could probably start with in Ireland.
You went Irish when you said Ireland. It was funny. In Ireland,
it's part of the R's. It happens once in a while. But you might want, if you, when you go to Ireland, you may want to start with the Legend of the Dullahan.
I will definitely make note of it. Like, we've got like quite a lot to still go through, which I love it because I do like the cozy streams on Fridays because, you know, who needs stress from yesterday? Like,
I don't.
No, we were stressed, and it's also just a nice vibe for me. Like, and it's also good practice as well to be reading in public, because I do plan to do like when I want to share my own stories with people, I want to be able to like read them out here and stuff like that and get everyone's like opinions and stuff like that. But I also want to cover folklore from many countries around the world, because I did for Christmas, I did festive folklore and traditions around the world, right?
Okay.
So how the different worlds, like what their winter like traditions were, what some of the things they did around for the festivities, which ranges from like November to January, but mind you. Like in Finland, they leave babies outside. Like yeah. It gets them used to the cold and stuff. There was a place in America, I think it was like Wisconsin or Mississippi, where they have a beard like competition, like beard growing and shit.
I think that's Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was Wisconsin and stuff. So, and there was like shoes and stuff. It was really fun, and I got shit drunk, mind you. I was shit drunk. Yeah, that was the Christmas stream.
Stream I came in on.
It might have been, yes.
That's the only one I remember where you were getting referred to when you were just.
Oh, so Christmas was the shitface stream. The one you came into was when I spent New Year with Sakura. Hi, Nozumi. Hi, Tic Tac. How are you doing, darling? Welcome into Folklore Day. Folklore Friday. We're covering some Welsh folklore. I will give my usual disclosure when it comes to Welsh language. Some Welsh words, albeit for innocent things, they sound very lewd. For an example, what would you think the Welsh word for valley is?
For me?
Yeah. What do you think?
For a valley?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Let me think.
Very interested in Ireland and Scotland because I'm Scottish, Irish, and Scottish on my mum's side of the family. I will definitely be excited to cover those. Okay.
You know what? I'm cheating on.
It's
say different.
No. So it's coombe.
What?
Yeah. So valley in Welsh is coombe. So CWM. The
oh, thank God it's not spelled what I'm thinking.
We don't have the letter U. We don't have this. We lack a lot of vowels, so we have two new vowels. We have Y and W in the Welsh language.
Okay.
So coombe, yeah. And then okay, so another example is red is coch. C-O-C-H.
Coch?
Yeah, coch. And it sounds like the other C word. So if you replace that H at the end with a K.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
you're also gonna be very confused with a lot of the pronunciation. So you got the CH that does a K sound. Then you've got a double D that is a TH sound. So like D's is day. And then you have a single F is a V. And then you've got the double L, which is a hl sound. That's the one that throws people the fuck off because it's like, they're like, what is that? What have you done? They were like, did you have a stroke? I'm like, nope, I did not have a stroke. So like, an interesting one. So red dragon. The red dragon in Welsh is Dreig Coch. Because usually sometimes, Dreig. So, well, it's draig, so you'd say draig.
Draig Coch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll notice with Welsh, some of the words, so like a sentence may appear the right way in English, some of it's backwards in Welsh. So like, I'll give you a few like relatively easy ones that I use in my streams. So you'll hear Chozo say "sumai" a lot when he comes in, right? So Chozo said whenever he comes into my streams, he says, "Oh, sumai nozumi," and that is basically like a informal version of saying, you know, how you doing, you know, how goes it, you know, just basically something along those lines. In North Wales, it is spelt with an I. After the S. In Southern Wales, it's spelled with an E. So in Northern Wales, it's Sumai. In Southern Wales, it's Sumai. You elongate the letter.
Sumai or Sumai. Okay.
Yeah, so because I am from North Wales, I say Sumai. Whereas the Southern Welsh folk, who have quite a stronger Welsh accent than I do, considering you'll find accents every pretty much 20 minutes you go in the UK. They will say sumai. So it's similar to like how, you know, like how Portuguese and Spanish are similar but different. It can be similar in Southern and Northern Wales with how we say particular words. Another one I say a lot here, very easy, is diolch. So diolch is thank you.
Diolch.
Yes,
okay.
Diolch. So you use that CH as a ch sound, so it's diolch. I apologize because I say it quite fast. I will try to dumb down my words to help you. And another good one is whenever you want to say welcome, like, you know, welcome in, it's just croeso. which is
Croeso. Okay.
yeah. Anytime you drive into Wales, fun fact for you guys, if ever you plan to visit, you will pass a road sign, no matter what road you choose to enter into Wales. You will see a big sign with a picture of a red dragon on it, and it will say Croeso I Gymru, which means welcome to Wales. And please don't be alarmed if you do visit Wales. Our road signs and like things like signs on the roads and stuff, you will see Welsh language first, English underneath. So we're very like inclusive in even though most of us do speak English here, we are very inclusive with the Welsh language. Like, you will have Welsh options and English options for pretty much fucking everything, including doctor's appointments. And they usually start with the Welsh first. So you have to sort of pick up if you, like, so the word English in Welsh is Saesneg. So if they basically say, for options in English, press 2, it's like, if you hear the term Saesneg and die, that is English and 2. Press it. Like, you learned little words, right? It's fucking amazing. I honestly enjoy. I could even teach you to say the long Welsh word at some point because it's so easy to break down. They even have it broken down on the train sign as well, the train station sign, to help teach people who can't understand it. Which I think's nice. And I will have you very fluent in it at one point. I need to bring back my Duolingo stream of Welsh. It's hilarious last time. Like,
I can tell you,
it's good. Like,
I can tell you right now, learning Irish or Gaelic from Duolingo, I swear, but when you become fluent, you're gonna sound like you're honest to God drunk the entire time.
It's pretty much the same with Welsh. A lot of people go, are you okay? Have you just... Literally, the most common thing, especially if you don't come from Wales, and you hear it for the first time, like, again, like things like Spanish, German, French, very common languages, and Polish, like, everybody can differentiate where they come from. When you speak Welsh to somebody, they're like, what? Like, another one is like, hwyl. So, hwyl is just bye, like goodbye.
Hwyl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another one you might hear that I don't want to confuse you with is if I say like a croeso, sut wyt ti. So sut wyt ti is how are you? And then usually quite a common one is da iawn diolch, syda ti. So very well, thank you, and you. I love this. I feel like a fucking teacher. Hell yeah. I need like, you know, the whole teacher's outfit now. I need that pencil skirt, yo. No teacher dresses like that, ever. Not anymore.
Oh god, no.
No. I want a suit, though. I like a suit. I used to own a suit. Best thing I owned. But yeah, we've covered things like from many different tales. We covered some history, so we did the history of like Saint David. We learned about why the red dragon is on the flag, essentially, and the red dragon was actually a concoction of 3 different tales. So to break it down, somebody got 2 dragons, like, essentially they put them to sleep by feeding them alcohol, right? A red one and a white one. Then one of the other stories, which correlated to this lake that these dragons were sleeping in one of the tales, the lake was drained. Because somebody drained the lake, then the dragons woke up, so they began to fight. And their fighting was interfering with essentially like the king's castle building, right? The red dragon had won the fight against the white dragon and was politely asked to vacate the foundation area by essentially Merlin, right? Because Merlin is able to speak to dragons. And so pretty much like the red dragon is rendered very highly because of like his affinity with like Merlin and just King Arthur and just history. It's very symbolic. So he now lives on our flag, you know. I just think we're fucking cool for that. We have a fucking dragon on our flag. Come on, bro. You know. But we're going to tackle into the ghosts or spirits. That is Welsh folklore, which is awesome. The more you know. If you have questions, you're always free to ask me, and I will do my best. And the thing is, I'm not like heavily fluent in Welsh. Like, if you put Welsh words in front of me and say, can you read these for me? I will do it perfectly. Do I know what most of them mean? Absolutely the fuck not. That's how weird that is. It's like I can read it perfectly if it's in front of me. Like, I pronounce it perfectly. I don't know all of the words. Like, it's very strange. But because you're like, you get exposed to Welsh quite a lot here because they teach both English and Welsh here. It's very normal. Like, they just did a whole bunch of like Eisteddfod stuff at like the school recently, and Tiny Dragon did like his Welsh like poem or presentation or something. And I found out he did very well. He's better than me. He knows more words than I remember, and I'm like, cool. So, ghosts or spirits were supposed to be the shades of departed human beings who, for certain reasons, were permitted to visit either nightly or periodically this upper world. The hour that spirits came to the earth was midnight, and they remained until cock crowning, when they were obligated to depart. So strongly did the people believe in the hours of these visits that formerly no one would stay from home later than 12 o'clock at night, nor would anyone proceed on a journey until Chanticleer had announced that the way was clear. Christmas Eve, however, was an exception, but during that night no evil spirit could appear. It was thought that if two persons were together, only one could see the spirit. To the other he was invisible, and to one person only would the spirit speak, and this he would do when addressed, otherwise he remained silent. Ghosts revisited the world to reveal hidden treasures, and the murdered haunted the place where their unburied bodies lay, or until vengeance overtook the murderer. And the wicked were doomed to walk the earth until they were laid in lake or river or in the Red Sea. The presence of spirits was announced by a clanking of chains, by shrieks or other horrible noises, and dogs and horses were credited with the power of seeing spirits. Horses trembled and perspired at their presence, and dogs whined and crouched at their approach. The tales which I shall now relate throw a glimmering light on the subject now under consideration. Look at me go. You'll hear a lot as well of stories passed on from reverends of the churches and stuff.
Sounds the same for Irish folklore.
Mm-hmm. The resources I have, and I do quote the page numbers when the writer specifies where they're from, went on this big journey to speak to a lot of people and like gathered a lot of information, and these things date back from many years. I was like, do I need to, like, the other day when Next was like, what is St. David's Day? Is it a religious holiday? It's like, no, not particularly. Like, yes, St. David himself was a church prior. Like, he was actually somebody who did work with the churches, but it's not particularly like church related at all. It's just, but there is actually a place in Wales called St. David's, which is nice. One of the pictures I forgot to tell you in that slideshow I have is of a gravestone by a tree, which is caged in. That gravestone belongs to a dog. This dog is a hero, mind you. He was wrongfully murdered by his owners after... So they came back in from, like, being out. Because they left the dog with the baby, right? They only just went out shortly. They came back. Baby was nowhere to be seen. But the dog was covered in blood, right?
Ooh.
So they instantly thought dog had killed baby. What had happened is... So the man of the house went and sadly killed the dog. After that, though, the wife had found the baby from it crying because it had fallen asleep. It was hidden away behind some curtains. And then when the wife retrieved their baby, they found behind the sofa, where a trail of blood was found, a giant wolf, which the dog had taken down. The wolf was trying to eat the baby, right? This dog had defended this baby and taken out this wolf, right? And he was wrongfully killed by his owners for this. So to essentially pay for the remorse and guilt they felt, he was buried in a very specific place for this tree. And this grave, you can actually go and visit this grave even to this day. It's up somewhere in a place in Wales. It's a gravestone, and it's by a tree, and it is caged off, and it's about this heroic dog, you know. I know you're a wolf. I'm sorry.
I know, but it's like different dogs, different wolves.
Mind you, the dog was actually smaller than the wolf. Like, he was quite a medium-sized, like, dog, you know?
Respect on that one.
Yeah, like...
They usually don't survive.
Honestly, like, that dog was, you know... He has his own gravestone, and it's a very popular tourist place, to the point they had to cage the fucking grave off. Because people would quite openly try and go and touch it and stuff, and they were like, no. Gotta respect the landscape. I think it's good. I'll have to send you the music I use as well for this stream. Like, you'd like it for some of your stuff, because it's like worldly music as well. And folklore as well. I may also have some Christmas jingles in here, don't judge me. And like some romantic tunes. But this one is the Glodith ghost. Sometimes I have to look at the letters in the words and go, oh shit, I need to pronounce it this way. I'm not a perfect Welsh speaker, you know, because it's not a language I have opportunities to practice regularly, because I don't go outside much, bro. You know, I don't know many like Welsh people online. Excuse me. Fucking damn it. I hate this. It's like I'm thirsty, but it's gonna cause me to burp.
At least if you're not trying to pronounce something in Irish, then it's just like, oh, it's the legend of the
Yep. Like a lot of people, like Rock has this thing every time he comes on. He's like, say the Welsh name, and I'm like, right, okay. Eisen came in once and went. He did a redeem of Mr. Pinkerton's voice, and then he instantly redeemed the Say the Long Welsh name, so I had to do it in Mr. Pinkerton's voice, and I was like, God fucking damn it. Now, mind you, Mr. Pinkerton is extremely southern. Like, it's one of those, like, he is a demon, like, that I found in a creepypasta. And he's even, like, described in the book as being, like, very, like, but imagine straw hat with those dungarees and, like, the striped shirt, right? Imagine an outfit like that, but he's very, like, southern. He's like, well, hello there, Scion. I believe you wanted to make a deal with me. Like, he is this type of, like, peppy southern man. So I had to say the long Welsh name in that tone, and I was like, well, I'm not one to back down from a challenge. And then after I'd finished it and the Mr. Pinkerton, like, timer was done, I was like, I switched straight back into my own voice. And he's like, this is why she's one of our VA team leads. Look at her go. I'm like, I get a bit, like, cocky when that happens. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm fucking good.
Well, that's just a sign of a good voice actor where you can, like, get a conversation going and it's just your voice and, like, not have to practice with it.
Yeah, like, for me, like, one of the... I still remember, so back in college, we had to do... I was doing musical theatre, right? And I'm not sure if you've heard of the musical piece Bugsy Malone, right? Which is about little mafia kids. And it's American, right? So it's a musical about... And it's basically an all-children's musical, essentially, where they are, like, mafia people. There's, like, a speakeasy and things like that, right? Honest to God, you'd love it. It's absolutely hilarious to watch because they do this whole mob, like, fight, you know, like, with, like, shoot-offs and stuff with cream pies and, like, these, like, guns that shoot, like, custard and, like, water and stuff like that. And it's just so, like, funny to watch. It's a musical that I do like it's not, like, in your face. And we had to learn, well, essentially they had to learn to sing an American accent because the song we had to do was called Bad Guys. And we had to learn to sing it in an American accent. And we had to, the teacher had us all in a line and was trying to make us, like, do an American accent. Like, first try to see where we were at on learning. I was the only one who could do an American accent, and he just sort of goes, how do you know how to do that? I went, I may have American friends online that I talk to a lot in, like, voice calls. And he goes, would you be able to incorporate that into the song? And I was like, well, yeah. Like, it, once you know how to do it and have practiced to a point, it can become quite, it does take practice, but, like, this is not me just bragging. In a sense, it might come across as that, but I sometimes find it easier to pick up on stuff if I've heard it for enough times. And I remember while I was practicing, I would literally be on call with my friends in BC, and I'd be like, you know, I'd make them say specific words for me a bit more, or emphasize them a bit more with their accent for me. And it helps, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, and it was fun. Mind you, the choreography was not amusing, you know. A lot of dancing and singing at the same time. Hell, that's awful. You know. Excuse me. So, the Glodive Ghost. Here we go. This is what happens. I tangent like a motherfucker with my ADD. It's like, boom. Like, squirrel. So, Jesus. So, the following tale was told, the Reverend Owen Jones from Pentravolis by Thomas Davis from Teachorch in Rill, the hero in the story. By the way, Rill is a nice seaside place. I used to go there a lot. I may say that Lothaith Wood is a remnant of the primeval forest that is mentioned by Sir John Wynne in his History of the Gwydir family, as extending over a large tract of the country. This wood, being undisturbed and in its original wild condition, was the home of foxes and other vermin, for whose destruction the surrounding parishes willingly paid half a crown per head. This reward was an inducement to men who had leisure to trap and hunt these obnoxious animals. Thomas Davis was engaged in this work, and, taking a walk through the wood one day for the purpose of discovering traces of foxes, he came upon a fox's den, and from the marks about the burrow he ascertained that there were young foxes in the hole. This was to him a grand discovery, for, in anticipation, Cubs and Vixen were already his. Looking about him, he noticed that there was opposite the fox's den a large oak tree with forked branches, and this sight settled his plan of operation. He saw that he could place himself in this tree in such a position that he could see the vixen leave and return to her den, and from his knowledge of the habits of the animal, he knew she would commence foraging when darkness and stillness prevailed. He therefore determined to commence the campaign forthwith, and so he went home to make his preparations. I should say that this sea was close to the wood, and that small craft often came to grief on the coast. I will now proceed the story. So Davis had taken his seat on the bough opposite the fox's den, when he heard a horrible scream in the direction of the sea, which apparently was that of a man in distress, and the sound uttered was "oh, oh." Thus Davis's attention was divided between the dismal "oh" and his fox, but as the sound was as far away off, he felt disinclined to heed it, for he did not think it incumbent on him to ascertain the cause of that distressing utterance. Nor did he think it his duty to go to the relief of a suffering fellow creature. He therefore did not leave his seat on the tree, but the cry of anguish every now and again reached his ears, and evidently it was approaching the tree on which Davis sat. He now listened the more to the awful sounds, which at intervals reverberated through the wood, and he could no longer be mistaken. They were coming in his direction. Nearer and nearer came the dismal "oh, oh," and with its approach the night became pitch dark, and now the "oh, oh, oh" was only a few yards off, but nothing could be seen in consequence of the deep darkness. The sounds, however, ceased, but a horrible sight was presented to the frightened man's view. There he saw before him a nude being with eyes burning like fire, and these glittering balls were directed to him. The awful being was only a dozen yards or so off, and now it crouched, and now it stood erect, but it never for a single instant withdrew its terrible eyes from the miserable man in the tree, who would have fallen to the ground were it not for the protecting boughs. Many times Davis thought that his last moment had come, for it seemed that the owner of those fiery eyes was about to spring on him. As he did not do so, David somewhat regained his self-possession, and thought of firing at the horrible being, but his courage failed, and there he sat motionless, not knowing what the end might be. He closed his eyes to avoid the gaze which seemed to burn into him, but this was a short relief, for he felt constrained to look into those burning orbs. Still, it was a relief even to close his eyes, so again and again he closed them, only however to open them on those balls of fire. About 4 o'clock in the morning he heard a cock crow at Penbryn Farm, and at the moment his eyes were closed, but at the welcome sound he opened them, and looked for the balls of fire. But oh, what pleasure! They were no longer before him, for, at the crowing of the cock, they, and the being of whom they belonged, had disappeared. I love ghost stories.
So do I.
Ghost stories are one of my favourites. We'll take a break in like 20-ish minutes or so. So you can prep your food as well.
It's gonna take me a while because I mainly have to get the steak prep and then actually cook it, and I don't know how long it'll take, but everything else will take like 5 minutes afterwards.
Yeah. So
it's really the steak that'll take the longest.
So this one is the Timauer Ghost in Bryneglis. God, it's so hard to pronounce some of these words. I'm just like, oh god, there's an L wrapped in there, so you gotta go. So this ghost plagued the servants, pinched and tormented them, and they could not get rest day nor night. Such was the character of this ghost, as told me by Mr. Richard Jones, Pinnerwern. But, said I, what was the cause of his acts? Was it the ghost of anyone who had been murdered? To this question, Jones gave the following account of the ghost's arrival at Timauer. A man called at this farm and begged for something to eat, and as he was shabbily dressed, the girls laughed at him and would not give him anything. And when going away, he said, speaking over his shoulder, "You will repent your conduct to me." And a few nights afterwards, the house was plagued and the servants were pinched all night. This went on days and days until the people were tired of their lives. They, however, went to Griffiths in Llanarmon, a minister who was celebrated as a layer of ghosts, and he came and succeeded in capturing the ghost in the form of a spider, and shut him up in his tobacco box and carried him away, and the servants were never afterwards plagued. Thank you, Si, for the care package. You're late for tea. Oh, means you have to do it too, bro.
I already took my sip.
Did you stretch and check your posture? No.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Okay, hang on.
That's right.
There we go.
I sometimes forget. I'm like, oh. And then Child's like, "Are you looking after yourself?" No, to me. I am now.
Yes, been doing it the whole time.
Yes, totally. So this one is the Freeth Farm Ghost. So I'm indebted to Mr. Williams, schoolmaster in Bruneglues, for the history of this ghost. It was not known why Freeth Farm was troubled by a ghost. When the servants were busily engaged in cheese making, the spirit would suddenly throw mortar or filthy matter into the milk and thus spoil the curds. The dairy was visited by the ghosts, and there he played havoc with the milk and dishes. He sent the pans one after the other around the room and dashed them to pieces. The terrible doings of the ghost was a topic of general conversation in those parts. The farmer offered a reward of £5 to anyone who would slay the spirit. One Sunday afternoon about 2 o'clock, an aged priest visited the farmyard, and in the presence of a crowd of spectators exorcised the ghost, but without effect. In fact, the ghost waved a woman's bonnet right in the face of the priest. The farmer then sent for Griffiths, an independent minister at Llanarmon, who enticed the ghost to the barn. Here the ghost appeared in the form of a lion, but he could not touch Griffiths, because he stood in the centre of a circle, which the lion could not pass over. Griffiths persuaded the ghost to appear in a less formidable shape, or otherwise he would have nothing to do with him. The ghost next came in the form of a mastiff, but Griffiths objected even to this appearance. At last the ghost appeared as a fly, which was captured by Griffiths and secured in his tobacco box, and carried away. Griffiths acknowledged that this ghost was the most formidable one he had ever conquered. From this tale it would appear that some ghosts were more easily overcome than others. Oh my god. That's funny. It's like, no, I don't want you to be a lion. No, not a mastiff. I'll be a fly. Like, honest to God, if I was like a ghost, a powerful ghost, I'd be like, the fuck am I listening to you for? Why do I want to have a meeting with a fucking priest? Like, I just like, let me live my life, bitch. I'm dead. You know? If I want to fucking spoil some cheese, let me spoil some fucking cheese.
Yes.
You know? He's the same guy who like, he got rid of the ghost who was pinching the servants. It's like, those bitches didn't feed him. He was a homeless man. They could have given him some crusty bread and a bit of water and sent him on his way. But no. They were like, you know what? Absolutely not. You know, you're not getting shit. And he's like, you know, basically, well, through the day, he's allowed to be pissed. That, like, little bit of meal, like, that bit of food would have kept him alive a bit longer. So it's a case of, you know, no wonder they were getting pinched. I'd be like, nah, it's okay. They didn't give you food. I understand you're pissed. You know? And that sucks, you know? So people just can be so mean. Like, you know, give a homeless person a sandwich. Not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, give him a piece of bread.
Exactly, you know. And they're like, oh no, we turned away this like homeless scruff man. because we didn't want to give him some bread and water because he was like, even though he was on death's door pleading for some food, we didn't want to help him. Oh no, why?
Houlihan was after him.
And it's like, oh no, why the fuck are we getting like harassed now all the time? You know, why are we getting pinched by this ghost? And it's like, yeah, that's the homeless guy you essentially starved to death. You know. Alright. So we've got the Pontarglyn ghost now. So there is a picturesque glen between Corwin and Cerrig y Dryddion, down which rushes a mountain stream. And over this stream is a bridge called Pontarglyn. On the left-hand side, a few yards from the bridge, on the Corwin side, is a yawning chasm, through which the river bounds. Here people who have travelled by night affirm that they have seen ghosts. The ghosts of those who have been murdered in this secluded glen. A man who is now a bailiff near Ruthin, but at the time of the appearance of the ghost to him at Pontarglyn, was a servant at Garth Malio, states that one night when he was returning home late from Corwin, he saw before him, seated on a heap of stones, a female dressed in Welsh costume. He wished her good night, but she returned him no answer. She, however, got up and proceeded down the road, which she filled, so great with her increased dimensions. Other spirits are said to have made their homes on the hills not far from Pontarglyn. There was the spirit of Ystrad Fawr, a strange ghost that transformed himself into many things. Oop, he burped. I will give the description of this ghost in the words of the author of the Gordivigion. Excuse me.
Gordivigion.
Yep. I was like, if I don't do it, it's gonna come out accidentally. I've cursed myself to literally, it's like, yeah, be real with Nozomi. It's like, yeah, she's a sweet angel. No, you fucking burps. Beat me.
Oh, she's just so nice. Fuck off.
Chozo's like, oh, you know, she does all her comfy, cozy streams. Then she's choosing violence and swearing and dropping those F-bombs. It's like, it's a healthy coping mechanism. It's like, don't call me out, man. So, with the Ystrad Fawr, so this first bit will be said in Welsh, but it comes with an English translation. So you're very lucky.
Woo!
I know. I always say that first, because sometimes people have come into the stream and go, oh my god, she's speaking in tongues. I'm like, no, it's Welsh. It's Welsh, bro. So, oedd ysbryd yn Ystrad Fawr, ger Llangwm yn arfer, ymddangos ar bryddiau a lyn croesi ar gynfon o'i amgylch fel olwyn troll. Bryd arall byddai yn eu coed, nes i byddai i rai hynau un ymddangos fel pei gwesan oll ar dan. Bryd arall byddai fel idwmawr yn Fynoi a Sgwrm. That's from the Gordivigion, page 106. The Ystrad Fawr ghost in English is as follows. There was a ghost at Ystrad Fawr near Llangwm that was in the habit of appearing like a turkey, with his tail spread out like a spinning wheel. At other times he appeared in the wood, when the trees would seem as if they were on fire. Again he would assume the shape of a large black dog gnawing a bone. Like, what? Oh my god. Crazy. Oh, the craziness, man. Alright. So this is the T. Felin ghost in Llananis. The fucking clans in this country. We have a lot of clans. Like, you got Llandudno, you got Llangollen, Llandegla, Llananis.
A lot of...
Yeah, a lot of the sounds. So, an excise man, overtaken by night, went to a house called T. Felin. in the parish of Llaninis and asked for lodgings. Unfortunately, the house was a very small one, containing only 2 bedrooms, and one of these was haunted. Consequently, no one dared sleep in it. After a while, however, the stranger induced the master to allow him to sleep in this haunted room. He had not been there long before a ghost entered the room in the shape of a travelling Jew, and the spirit walked around the room. The exciseman tried to catch him and gave chase, but he lost sight of the Jew in the yard. He had scarcely entered the room a second time when he again saw the ghost. He again chased him and lost sight of him in the same place. The third time he followed the ghost. He made a mark on the yard where the ghost vanished and went to rest, and was not again troubled. He got up early and went his way, but before long he returned to Tivelin, accompanied by a policeman, whom he requested to dig in the place where his mark was. This was done, and underneath a superficial covering, a deep well was discovered, and in it a corpse. On examining the tenant of the house, he confessed that a travelling Jew selling jewellery, etc., once lodged with him, and that he had murdered him and cast his body in the well. Damn, that guy just helped save a fucking, a murder mystery, bro.
Shit.
Then we've got the Llandegla spirit. And I just spat on my screen. What the fuck? That double L just was like, fuck you. So, the tale of this spirit was given to me by Mr. Roberts, late schoolmaster of Llandegla. A small river runs close to the secluded village of Llandegla, and in this mountain stream, under a huge stone, lies a wicked ghost. This tale is as follows. The old rectory at Llandegla was haunted. The spirit was very troublesome. No peace was to be got because of it. Every night it was at its work. A person of the name of Griffiths, who lived in Grainreed, was sent to lay the ghost. He came to the rectory, but the spirit could not be overcome. It is true Griffiths saw it, but in such a form that he could not approach it. Night after night the spirit appeared in various forms, but still the conjurer was unable to master it. At last it came to the wise man in the form of a fly, which Griffiths immediately captured and placed in a small box. The box he buried under a large stone in the river, just below the bridge near the Llandegla Mills, and there the spirit is to remain until a certain tree, which grows by the bridge, reaches the height of the parapet, and then, when this takes place, the spirit shall have power to regain his liberty. To prevent this tree from growing, the school children, even to this day, nip the upper branches, and thus retard its upward growth. Mr. Roberts received the story I have given from the old parish clerk, John Jones, the weaver, who died a few years ago. Some of these stories still are being practiced essentially today, so they're still trimming down the branches of those trees, just so the spirit doesn't come out, which I think is really cool. I was always told, so it was a ghost story my grandparents used to tell me. We used to travel to Rill a lot as it used to be like a little seaside weekend trip we used to take. Pretty much every week if it was nice weather. You know, my nan was like, come on, we're going to drive up to Rill today. And we were like, cool. And on the way to Rill, you go through this, we call it a forest. It's like a road that goes through very dense and dark, set of trees. So it's like a forest. Nearby this forest, there is this big manor. And, we were always told that there was a ghost, story behind it. In this manor, there was a lady. She was soon to be married. She was called Ginny Grinty, right? And she was set to be married to the man of this manor, right? On her day that she was to be wed, she was all dressed up in her wedding dress. She found her partner to be being unfaithful with a scullery maid, right? At the time. This was a long, long time ago. very distraught, and she was clearly upset. She couldn't be appeased by her, fiance at the time. She went to the top of the manor, still in her wedding dress, and in her grief and heartache threw herself off the top of the manor while in her wedding dress. Now, mind you, at the bottom of this manor, like around the edges, were these very, very thick rose and thorn bushes, right? She impaled herself on those and died, right? So now the tale says that she wanders that forest crying and grieving and looking for her true love, looking for her husband, who was going to be her husband. She's either missing him or she's still angry at him because she's still here. And there have been reports, like if you're driving through there, she has passed through cars and things like that. It's mainly men she will approach because of this. Because obviously she's looking for her partner. And my grandmother used to tell me all about Ginny Grinty. Every time we drive through this forest, she'd be like, "You best behave, Ginny Grinty's watching you." And I was never sure if this was ever confirmed, because I never actually ever researched into it, because I think I'd be sad if I found out this wasn't the case. Because to me, it was like such a... without fail, every time we drove through that was something my grandmother would always tell me about Ginny Grinty. And, she'd be like, "She's watching you, Like, just a way to get kids to behave, Mm-hmm. But I used to enjoy hearing about the story and things like that. And I think tales like this, and especially like folklore tales as well, they're really good at bringing communities together, I think, as well. Some of them are nice, and I think we all need like that mystery in life, I think,
Yeah, nothing. It's always nice to have good mystery, but at the same time, it's almost also just as appealing to know that the whole story is not told, and just to leave that little bit of mystery is just a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a lot better to have the unknown and than to know everything.
And obviously there's a lot in Wales. There are a lot of old manors, there's a lot of castles, abandoned castles, churches. There's a lot of things that are deep rooted within history that are still, people still visit today as like tourist attractions, or because they have some spiritual meaning to them, or like they're related to witchcraft or folklore and stuff like that. And like, it's, for us over here, it's stuff we have grown up with, but I've seen so many people get generally just fascinated by the stories and everything like that. I'm like, hey, this is one of the reasons I enjoy sharing it with you guys, because it's just so... I like seeing people's, like, they become invested in it. And I'm like, I'm here for it, to be honest. Like, there's certain, like, places that I would love to get to know better and to learn the history and, like, the folklore and the tales. It's one of the reasons I started this series, because I want to be able to share that with so many people, because it's a nice way to honor, people in the past as well. But it's also a nice distraction from the real world right now, like the reality of things. But, some of the stuff might have been exaggerated and tweaked throughout the years by people of the church and communities and like bloodlines. But it's one of those things of a lot of people know about them. Like, but with Wales, where I'm from, we tend to be, again, I mentioned this to you the other day, we're heavily overshadowed by the other 3 countries that make up Great Britain. So, you know, some people still think we are part of England. It's like, no, we are separate. But we get overshadowed a lot by England, Scotland, and Ireland. And I was like, we exist too. You know, I'd like to... And some people even have been like, I genuinely didn't know about Wales. You know, I was always curious whenever... Apparently, it's very, very... Like, there's only quite a few Welsh VTubers that I see popping up now. Like, before, it was mainly overseas American people. There was English, there was Irish and Scottish. Not many Welsh people. One of the big, like, streamers and YouTubers is Avak, the dragon streamer. And he's from Wales as well. He's a bit further up north than me. But he's one of the bigger Welsh streamers. And then you've got another Welsh streamer who now lives in Japan who's friends with Iron Mouse. But there's not many like smaller streamers who, and generally a lot of people in the streaming community sort of go, we don't see many Welsh streamers. Like they've told me this. They're like, it's very interesting, and it's a whole accent thing. I'm like, and I don't hear my accent, so a lot of people hear it and they're just like, you sound so nice. I'm like, you have such an amazing accent. I'm just like, I don't hear it, but I'm a thank you for it, because again, it's because we're not as known as the rest of the UK. It becomes again another form of an exotic voice you don't hear. And I'm like, have you ever watched Gavin and Stacey? Have you ever heard of Nessa? Like, her voice is like, a lot of people when they think of Wales think instantly of like Gavin and Stacey and like Nessa's voice, because it's a very strong Welsh a strong Welsh like accent. But like Ruth Jones, who played her, amazing actress, to be honest. And the thing is, her Nessa character like is completely different to how she actually speaks normally. Like you can't even tell like she's having to put on that Welsh accent. She is Welsh, but she has to like proper like, you have to put this, I call it, you put the like, there's like a southern / high north twang to it. When you say, I come from the valleys, you have to like
come from the valleys.
You have to elongate certain words, so it's like, I'm come from the valleys and things like that. There's also a Welsh like comedian as well who talked about dolphins sounding like pill bottles, you know, that click click sound. And he goes, you can't sound threatening in Welsh because you go, oh, look, a bumblebee. See, like that's the type of like more stronger accent a lot of people are used to when it comes to Wales and stuff like that. Like, I don't sound particularly like that. I don't go, oh, look, a bumblebee. You can't sound like threatening when you literally say stuff like that. Like, you're not intimidating when you talk like that. It's like, oh, do you want a cup of tea? Like, it's literally that. And I'm just like, oh, is that how the world sees us? Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
But because I sound like, again, you can find different tones of the Welsh accent all throughout Wales. So, like, again, if you go all the way down to, say, like, Swansea or Cardiff, you get that, like, accent there, that strong, like, I call it a throaty accent because it's proper, like, you know, valleys and, like, bumblebee and things like that. And it's the same if you go higher north than me, say, like, Anglesey. If you go to Anglesey, you'll hear it there too. I'm sort of, like, I'm like north, but not like too high north to have that range. And I'm just like, okay, I'll take it. I'm basic. I'm basic, bitch. I'm basic, bitch.
Well, you said it, not me.
That's how I see it. Are you ready for Lady Jeffrey's spirit?
Not yet. I need to use the bathroom and make that.
Right, well, hang on. Let me go to the intermission screen then, because you just reminded me. I gotta pee too.
Yep.
So we are gonna go to the intermission screen, guys. We're gonna, go to the bathroom and stuff. Be about like 15-ish minutes. So make sure you stretch your legs, get yourself something to drink, and use the bathroom. Please take care of your bladders. I will be playing a 3-minute ad during the intermission screen, so you're not losing out on any of the content. You're not missing out on little old me and Scion today. It helps support the stream, so I really appreciate you guys being here. So don't be alarmed with the 3-minute ad break, but we will see you in about 15-ish minutes. Hi guys, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you for being patient with the break. Sai is going to be a bit quiet for a little bit. He is muted. He's currently cooking up a steak. So he will rejoin when he has finished prepping his noms, because we gotta eat. And I always encourage my guests as well as my followers to get themselves good noms. But also, welcome on in to my darling little jelly community, Elbry. Welcome, thank you for the follow, Sweet Pea. How did you find me and what are your pronouns? I'm Nozami, your Welsh fan dragon, and I welcome you wholeheartedly to Welsh Folklore Friday at Raven's Hollow here. Lovely to see you. I hope you are doing well, my darling. But we're currently talking about the ghosts and such and spirits in Welsh folklore. If you would like to catch up as well on any of the Mist Folklore streams that I have done, because Twitch doesn't keep VODs forever, you'll find all my previous Welsh Folklore streams in my YouTube channel, which you'll find in my links down below. And sometimes it pops up as well in chat. But if you want to catch up on any of the Welsh Folklore streams and folklore streams that I do, you'll find them all in the YouTube. So if that's something that interests you, I highly recommend checking them out. But today we're covering some more of the Welsh folklore. Before we went on break, we were going to cover Lady Jeffrey's spirit. So this lady could not rest in her grave because of her misdeeds, and she troubled people dreadfully. The last she was persuaded or enticed to contact her dimensions to enter into a bottle. She did so, after appearing in a good many hideous forms. When she got into the bottle, it was corked down securely, and the bottle was cast into the pool underneath the short bridge in Llanidlos. And there the lady was to remain until the ivy that grew up the buttresses should overgrow the side of the bridge to reach the parapet. The ivy was dangerously near the top of the bridge when the writer was a schoolboy, and often did he and his companions crop off its tendrils that neared the prescribed limits, for we were all terribly afraid to release the dreaded lady out of the bottle. In the year 1848, the old bridge was blown up, and a new one built instead of it. A schoolfellow, whom we called Ben, was playing by the aforesaid pool when the bridge was undergoing reconstruction, and he found by the river's side a small bottle, and in the bottle was a little black thing that was never quiet, but it kept bobbing up and down continually, just as if it wanted to get out. Ben kept the bottle safely for a while, but ere long he was obliged to throw it into the river, for his relations and neighbours came to the conclusion that was the very bottle that contained Lady Jeffrey's spirit, and they also surmised that the little black restless thing was nothing less than the lady herself. Ben consequently resigned the bottle and its contents to the pool again, there to undergo a prolonged but unjust term of imprisonment. That's very interesting, that one. That would have been interesting to see how he would have fared with keeping, if he opened the bottle. Never know. We don't mess with the spirits and the fae. Rule is over here is you fuck with the fae, you find out. So we advise never to mess around with the spirits and the fae of Wales, because they're not all, happy and dancing all the time. They can be rather nasty. Some you'll find good fae folk that will help you out for a little bit of exchange of food. And if you're good to them, if they come into your home, they will sometimes leave you gifts. And you always say thank you to the nice ones. But if fae and little fair folk actually give you a gift, do not tell others where you got said gifts from, because those gifts will stop. So yeah, that's a little bit tidbit of information for you. So next we go to Pentravolus, the Squire Griffith's ghost. A couple of workmen engaged at Folas, the seat of the late Squire Griffiths, thought they would steal a few apples from the orchard for their children, and for this purpose one evening, just before leaving off work, they climbed up a tree. But happening to look down, whom should they see but the squire wearing his three-cornered hat and dressed in the clothes he used to wear when alive, and he was leaning against the trunk of the tree on which they were perched. In great fright they dropped to the ground and took to their heels. They ran without stopping to Bryn Coch, but there, to their horror, stood the squire in the middle of the road, quietly leaning on his staff. They again avoided him and ran home every step, without looking behind them. The orchard robbers never again saw their late master, nor did they ever attempt to rob the orchard. He's still protecting those prized apples. Cute. Alright. So now we go to visit David Salisbury's ghost. I will quote from Bygones, Volume 3, page 211, an account of this spirit. There was once an old Welsh tradition in vogue some 50 years ago, that one David Salisbury, son of Harry Goch of Llanheidre near Denbigh, and grandson of Thomas Salisbury, Pen of Llywelyn, had given considerable trouble to the living, long after his remains had been laid in the grave. A good old soul, Mr. Griffiths of Llandegla, averred that he had seen his ghost, mounted upon a white horse, galloping over hedges and ditches in the dead of night, and had heard the terrible groans which he concluded proceeded from the weight of sin troubling the unhappy soul, which had to undergo these untimely and unpleasant antics. An old Welsh ballad entitled Ysbryd David Salisbury professed to give the true account of the individual in question, but the careful search of many years has failed me in securing a copy of that horrible song, Goran wy Ivan. This spirit fared better than most of his compeers, for they, poor things, were, according to the popular voice, often doomed to ride headless horses, which madly galloped the livelong night, hither and thither, where they would, the great terror of the midnight traveller who might meet this mad, unmanageable creature, and also, as it would seem, to the additional discomfort of the unfortunate rider. It is, or was believed, in Gyffiliog parish, which is in the recesses of the Denbighshire Mountains, 4 or 5 miles to the west of Ruthin, that the horses ridden by spirits and goblins were real horses, and it was there said when horses were found in their stables at dawn, in a state of perspiration, that they had been taken out in the night and ridden by spirits about the country, and hence their jaded condition in the morning. It was also thought that the horses found in the morning of their pasture ground were tangled manes and tails, and bodies covered in mud had been during the night used by spirits, who rushed through them through mire and briar, and that consequently they presented the appearance of animals who had followed the hounds in a long chase through a stiff country. There is a strong family likeness between all ghost stories, and a lack of originality in their construction, but this suggests a common source from which the majority of these fictions are derived. I now come to another phase of spirit folklore, which has already been alluded to, viz., the visits of ghosts for the purpose of revealing hidden treasures. The following tale, which I took down from the mouth of John Rowland, at one time the tenant of Plas in Llan, Evenechted, is an instance of this kind of story. Oh my goodness. A ghost appearing to point out hidden treasures. So there is a farm called Clwchddyrnog in the parish of Llan Desant, Anglesey, which was said to have been haunted by a spirit. It seems that no one would summon courage to speak to the ghost, though it was seen by several parties. But one night, John Hughes, Boderdern, a widower, who visited the house for the purpose of obtaining a second Mrs. Hughes from among the servant girls there, spoke to the ghost. The presence of the spirit was indicated by a great noise in the room where Hughes and the girl were. In great fright, Hughes invoked the spirit and asked why he troubled the house. "Have I done any wrong to you?" said he, addressing the spirit. "No," was the answer. Then he asked if the girl to whom he was paying his attentions was the cause of the spirit's visit, and again he received the same answer, "No." Then Hughes named individually all the inmates of the house in succession, and inquired if they were the cause of the spirit's visits, and again he was answered in the negative. Then he asked why, since no one in the house had disturbed the spirit, he came there to disturb the inmates. To this pertinent question the spirit answered as follows: "There are treasures hidden on the south side of Finn and Wen, which belong to, and are to be given to, the 9-month-old child in this house. When this is done, I will never disturb this house any more." The spot occupied by the treasure was minutely described by the spirit, and Hughes promised to go to the place indicated. The next day he went to the spot, and digging into the ground he came upon an iron chest filled with gold, silver, and other valuables, and all these things he faithfully delivered up to the parents of the child, to be kept by them for him until he should come of age to take possession of them himself. This they faithfully did, and the spirit never again came to the house. John Rowland, my informant, was a native of Anglesey, and he stated that all the people of Llanidasant knew of the story which he related to me. He was 83 years old at the time he told me the tale, and that was in October 1852. One of the most singular tales of the appearance of a ghost is recorded in the autobiography of the grandfather of the late Mr. Thomas Wright, and well-known Shropshire antiquary. Mr. Wright's grandfather was a Methodist, and in the early days of that body the belief in apparitions not uncommon amongst them. The story was told Mr. Wright Sr. in 1780 at the house in Yorkshire of Miss Bossoquet, afterwards the wife of Fletcher of Madeley, by Mr. John Hampson Sr., a well-known preacher among the Methodists, who had just arrived from Wales. As the scene of the tale is laid in Powys Castle, I will call Visitation. The Powys Castle ghost revealing a hidden box to a woman. I like this song, it's very catchy. The following is the narrative. It had been for some time reported in the neighbourhood that a poor unmarried woman, who was a member of the Methodist Society and had become serious under their ministry, had seen and conversed with the apparition of a gentleman who had made a strange discovery to her. Mr. Hampson, being desirous to ascertain if there was any truth to the story, sent for the woman, and desired her to give him an exact relation of the whole affair from her own mouth, and as near the truth as she possibly could. She said she was a poor woman who got her living from spinning hemp and line, that it was customary for the farmers and gentlemen of the neighbourhood to grow a little hemp or line in the corner of their fields for their own home consumption, and as she was a good hand at spinning the materials, she used to go from house to house to inquire for work. That her method was, where they employed her during her stay, to have meat and drink and lodgings, if she had occasion to sleep with them, for her work, and what they pleased to give her besides. That, among other places, she happened to call one day at the Welsh Earl of Powys's country seat, called Redcastle, to inquire for work, as she usually had done before. The quality were at this time in London, and had left the steward and his wife, with other servants as usual, to take care of their country residents in their absence. The steward's wife set her to work, and in the evening told her that she must stay all night with them, as they had more work for her to do the next day. When bedtime arrived, 2 or 3 of the servants in company, with each a lighted candle in her hand, conducted her to her lodging. They led her to a ground room with a boarded floor and 2 sash windows. The room was grandly furnished and had a genteel bed in one corner of it. They had made her a good fire and had placed her a chair and a table before it, and a large lighted candle upon the table. They told her that was her bedroom, and she might go to sleep when she pleased. Then they wished her a good night and withdrew altogether, pulling the door quickly after them, so as to hasp the spring sneck, the brass lock that was upon it. When they were gone, she gazed a while at the fine furniture, under no small astonishment that they should put such a poor person as her in so grand a room and bed, with all the apparatus of fire, chair, table, and candle. She was also surprised at the circumstance of the servants coming so many together, with each of them a candle. However, after gazing about her some little time, she sat down and took a small Welsh Bible out of her pocket, which she always carried around with her, and in which she usually read a chapter, chiefly in the New Testament, before she said her prayers and went to bed. While she was reading, she heard the room door open, and turning her head, saw a gentleman enter in a gold lace hat and waistcoat, and the rest of his dress corresponded therewith. I think she was very particular in describing the rest of his dress to Mr. Hampson, and he to me at the time, but I have now forgot the other particulars. He walked down by the sash window to the corner of the room and then returned. When he came to the first window in his return, the bottom of which was nearly breast high, he rested his elbow on the top of the window, and the side of his face on the palm of his hand, and stood in that leaning posture for some time, with his side partly towards her. She looked at him earnestly to see if she knew him, but, though from her frequent intercourse with them, she had a personal knowledge of all the present family, he appeared a stranger to her. She supposed afterwards that he stood in this manner to encourage her to speak, but as she did not, after some time he walked off, pulling the door after him, as the servants had done before. She began now to be much alarmed, concluding it to be an apparition, and that they had put her there on purpose. This was really the case. The room, it seems, had been disturbed for a long time, so that nobody could sleep peacefully in it, and as she passed for a very serious woman, the servants took it into their heads to put the Methodist and spirit together, to see what they would make of it. Startled at this thought, she rose from her chair and kneeled down by the bedside to say her prayers. While she was praying, he came in again, walked around the room, and came close behind her. She had it in her mind to speak. When she attempted it, she was so very much agitated that she could not utter a word. He walked out the room again, pulling the door after him as before. She begged that God would strengthen her, and not suffer her to get tried beyond what she was able to bear. She recovered her spirits, and thought she felt more confidence and resolution, and determined if he came in again she would speak to him, if possible. He presently came in again, walked around, and came behind her as before. She turned her head and said, "Pray, sir, who are you, and what do you want?" He put up his finger and said, "Take up the candle and follow me, and I will tell you." She got up, took up the candle, and followed him out of the room. He led her through a long boarded passage till they came to a door of another room, which he opened and went in. It was a small room, or what might be called a large closet. As the room was small, and I believed him to be a spirit, she said, I stopped at the door. He turned and said, "Walk in, I will not hurt you." So I walked in. He said, "Observe what I do." I said, "I will." He stooped and tore up one of the boards of the floor, and there appeared under it a box with an iron handle in the lid. He said, "You see that box?" I said, "Yes, I do." He then stepped to one side of the room and showed me a crevice in the wall where he said a key was hid that would open it. He said, "This box and key must be taken out and sent to the Earl of London," naming the Earl and his place of residence in the city. He said, "Will you see it done?" I said, "I will do my best to get it done." He said, "Do, and I will trouble the house no more." He then walked out the room and left me. He seems to have been a very civil spirit, and to have been very careful to affright her as little as possible. I stepped to the room door and set up a shout. The steward and his wife and the other servants came to me immediately, all clung together with a number of lights in their hand. It seems they had all been waiting to see the issue of the interview betwixt me and the apparition. They asked me what was the matter. I told them the foregoing circumstances and showed them the box. The steward durst not meddle with it, but his wife had more courage and, with the help of the other servants, lugged it out and found the key. She said by their lifting it appeared to be pretty heavy, but that she did not see it opened, and therefore did not know what it contained, perhaps money, or writings of consequence to the family, or both. They took it away with them, and then she went to bed and slept peacefully till the morning. It appeared afterwards that they sent the box to the Earl of London, with an account of the manner of its discovery and by whom, and the Earl sent down orders immediately to the steward to inform the poor woman who had been the occasion of this discovery, that if she would come and reside in his family, she would be comfortably provided for the remainder of her days, or, if she did not choose to reside constantly with them, if she would let them know when she wanted assistance, she should be liberally supplied at his lordship's expense as long as she lived. And Mr. Hampson said it was a known fact in the neighbourhood that she had been so supplied from the lordship's family from the time the affair was said to have happened, and continued to be so at the time she gave Mr. Hampson this account. Such is the tale. I will make no comments on it. Many similar stories are extant. For one more tale, I will leave the spirit stories. I will then relate how troublesome ghosts were laid. The spirits of the preceding tales were sent from the unseen world to do good. Spirit of the maiden gives a name, Welsh Lake, cried out for vengeance, but history does not inform us that she obtained satisfaction. There is a lake in Carnarvonshire called Llyn Nada Forwyn, or the Lake of the Maiden's Cry, which is attached to the following tale. I will call the tale The Spirit of Llyn Nada Forwyn. It is said that a young man was about to marry a young girl, and on the evening before the wedding, they were rambling along the waterside together, but the man was false and loved another better than the woman whom he was about to wed. They were alone in an unfrequented country, and the deceiver pushed the girl into the lake to get rid of her to marry his sweetheart. She lost her life, but even afterwards her spirit troubled the neighbourhood, but chiefly the scene of her murder. Sometimes she appeared as a ball of fire, rolling along the river Colwyn. At other times she appeared as a lady dressed in silk, taking a solitary walk along the banks of the river. At other times, groans and shrieks were heard coming out of the river. Just such screams as would be uttered by a person who was being murdered. Sometimes a young maiden was seen emerge out of the waters half naked with dishevelled hair that covered her shoulders, and the country resounded with her heart-rending crying as she appeared in the lake. The frequent quiet crying of the spirit gave to the lake its name, Llyn Nada Forwyn. Not sad, that one. Also, side note, Dion is not, asleep. He is currently cooking steak. He's a busy little bee. I hope you all are enjoying these tales. I do so enjoy reading to you all. Okay, so this one is the category of spirit laying. This is where you would put a spirit to rest, or essentially exercise a spirit, per se. So it must have been consolation to those who believed in the power of wicked spirits to trouble people, that it was possible to lay these evil visitors in a pool of water, or to drive them away to the Red Sea, or to some other distant part of the world. It was generally thought that spirits could be laid by a priest, and they were particular forms of exorcising these troublesome beings. Conjurer, or Din Hisbis, was also credited with this power, and it was thought that the prayer of the righteous man could overcome the emissaries of evil. But there was a place for hope in the case of these transported or laid spirits. It was granted to some to return from the Red Sea to the place whence they departed by the length of a grain of wheat or barley corn yearly. The untold ages that it would take to accomplish a journey, 4,000 miles, thus slowly, was but a very secondary consideration to the annihilation of hope. Many were the conditions imposed upon the vanquished spirits by their conquerors before they could be permitted to return to their old haunts. And well might it be said that the conditions could not possibly be carried out, but still there was a place for hope in the breast of the doomed by the imposition of any terminable punishment. The most ancient instance of driving out a spirit that I am acquainted with is to be found in the Book of Tobit. It seems to be the prototype of many like tales. The angel Raphael and Tobias were by the river Tigris when a fish jumped out of the river, which by the direction of the angel was seized by the young man, and its heart and liver and gall extracted, and at the angel's command carefully preserved by Tobias. When asked what their use might be, the angel informed him that the smoke of the heart and liver would drive away a devil or evil spirit that troubled anyone. In the 14th verse of the 6th chapter of Tobit, we are told that a devil loved Sarah, but that he did no harm to anyone, excepting to those who came near her. Knowing this, the young man was afraid to marry the woman, but remembering the words of Raphael, he went in unto his wife, and took the ashes of the perfume as ordered, and put the heart and liver of the fish thereupon, and made a smoke therewith. The which smell, when the evil spirit had smelled, had fled to the utmost parts of Egypt, and the angel bound him. Such is the story, many variants of which are found in many countries. Welcome back, Sai.
Thank you.
I hear
Did you hear me eat?
I hear you came in. I was like, he's here.
Yeah, that took a little longer than I thought.
Oh, you're fine.
The food didn't come out exactly like I planned, but I'll eat it.
Oh no, how did it come out? Edible, I
I'll
hope.
send you a pic. Oh, it's edible. It's just
Did not.
you'll be able to see the kind of what I was going for, but
Huh?
it just did not come out very well.
Oh no, I gotta see this, bro. You work so hard. I always hate that though, when you've got a vision in mind and then it's like, and you look at it and go, this is not what I made.
No, I know what happened. I added way too much rice.
Oh no, not the rice. Did you wash your rice? You washed the rice? Oh, you didn't. Oh, you were trying to do a steak omu rice.
Yep.
You were trying to make omu rice. Honestly, though,
that's what it's called. Okay.
yeah, it's called omu rice. So it's like omelet and rice. Omu rice. Quite common in
It's amazing.
It's quite good in like it's well known in like anime and stuff. Your parsley flakes, because you know actual fresh herbs are too expensive.
Oh shit! I forgot to add the parsley.
It's right there.
No, that's green onion.
No, it says parsley flakes on the fucking bottle, dumbass. That's what I was saying. The parsley was right there.
And I still forgot to use it.
Yeah. Is that like 3 or 2 omelets on the rice?
5.
Five mini omelets. Are you on
Because
are you eating on paper plates now?
I'm always eating on paper plates.
I was like, the fuck, bro? I thought I was the only one who did that. It saves on cleaning. Like, the amount of times I'm having to like do my dishwasher, I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, but I know I added way too much rice to this.
Yeah, like,
because it's supposed to cover the whole thing, but you see what I was trying to do.
Yeah, no, it's for a first attempt for omu rice. That's very good. You know.
I mean, and it was my very first attempt. It's not gonna go right. At least I know what not to do now.
Yeah. Omu rice, like, you know, any dish though, when you're trying to cook it first try, it's not gonna come out how you want it to. Like, you have these visions and stuff. Like, we recently did fish tacos, like, because I was like, oh, but, you know, I wanted to try and incorporate more fish dishes, and I'm like, okay, I didn't like this particular thing about it. Didn't like this thing, you know. My partner follows recipes he finds online. You know, and this also went for when he was doing some baking recently. Followed the recipes to a T, and they still do not come out as they're supposed to. It's like, what am I doing wrong? You're following it to an exact T, and it still doesn't come out right. It's like, are we just broken?
Oh, I don't follow mine to an exact T. Makes it a little more fun.
Depends, like, what you're making, to be honest. I tend to stay in, like, the safe zones of food. Like, meat, veg, taters. That's me.
Yep, but all the gooey stuff's on the rice, on the steak. Oh, it tastes delicious.
Like, my partner makes some really nice chicken fried rice. Like, that shit is... Like, because it's one of my favorite dishes, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and make it one time, because he was like, you know, saves us, like, money on Chinese and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, bet, go for it. My one stipulation, I said, you have to include broccoli. Because broccoli is my favorite thing to fucking eat, like, vegetable-wise. I will just boil broccoli and eat it. I do not care. Like, as he calls it, I am a bland bitch. Like, me and fucking seasoning is just unheard of. It's like, he's like, put fucking salt in things, woman. Salt and pepper. At least use them. I've started using salt and pepper, though, in my mashed potatoes. You know, instead of just butter and milk. You know. As you do. So at least I'm working on seasoning.
What? Because of that, I can't be friends with you anymore.
No. No. I try. Like, I have more of a sweet tooth. Like, for me, like, I like to bake. But, like, I don't get that excited of, like, for like, food and meals. So for me, it's like, I just need to eat to survive, basically. So, like, but he made this, like, homemade chicken fried rice, you know. He even, like, used the wok and, like, chopsticks to scramble the eggs and everything.
That's what I do.
Yeah, like, he went, like, whole 9 yards. He, like, researched a really good recipe that he could follow. But he also, like, tweaked it himself, obviously incorporating broccoli in it, because I love broccoli. Like, he even bought, like, 2 big heads of, like, broccoli, just so there would be enough broccoli, because apparently in many dishes, there's never enough broccoli. This is my words exactly, because so he made sure to buy extra broccoli, just so I would have enough. I was like, I'm not complaining, it's fucking broccoli, I like broccoli. And then he made it, and mind you, there was a lot of food, like, you know. Excuse me. Yeah, that's a lot of rice. I think you could have halved that, honestly.
Yeah, that was 1 cup, and that's where I screwed up.
Yeah. Like, that would have been fine for, like, 2 small portions, you know? But, like, because obviously, you know, you're still ill, just half it, you would have been fine. Like, if you were not sick, that would have been a man-sized portion of food.
Yep, but still, this was the whole point of the experiment, just to see how it came out. Tastes amazing. Looks bad on execution.
Oh, yeah. As long as it tastes good.
except for like the hole that I purposely made just to take a look at the inside.
Yeah, it's like I'll just stab it and look at it. But like it's rice is a stodgy food as well, so like you don't need too much of it because it just sits in there as a carbohydrate because it's, you know, absorbing shit. So you don't want too much rice. But like I don't usually eat big portions of food. When I first had this chicken fried rice, like he made sure to put a lot on my plate. He said it doesn't matter if you leave stuff because I know you've eaten enough then. And he even made sure to put little extra scoops of broccoli on there for me. I inhaled the whole fucking plate the first time I ate it. I cleaned that plate. And he just went, it's gone. Where did you eat the entire plate? I went, yes. So he just went, you never finish a meal. Like, I never finish plates of food. Like, you know, and that'll be just like a small meal or something. Like, I finished my plate of fish fingers, mash, and mushy peas today because I made it. And it wasn't like, I hadn't eaten lunch, so I was able to eat. Like, but usually when it comes to meals, like, I don't finish them at all. And even though they're small portions, I'm like, no, I don't want to eat it because in my mind, eating, I need to eat, but eating's also a chore, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to mute for a second. My work is calling me.
I'll finish reading a bit of this as well. So, I am grieved to find that Sir John Wynne, who wrote the interesting and valuable history of the Gwydir family, which ought to have secured for him kindly recognition for his countrymen, was by then deposited after death, troubling good people, in Rhaidir y Wennol. The superstition has found its place in York's Royal Tribes of Wales. The following quotation is from the History of the Gwydir Family, Oswestry edition, page 7. Being shrewd and successful in his dealings, people were led to believe he oppressed them. And says York in his Royal Tribes of Wales, it is the superstition of Llanrwst to this day that the spirit of the old gentleman lies under the great waterfall Rhaidir y Wennol, there to be punished and purged, spouted upon, and purified from the foul deeds done in his days of nature. This gentleman, though, is not alone in occupying, until his misdeeds are expiated, a watery grave. There is hardly a pool in a river or lake in which spirits have not, according to popular opinion, been laid. In our days, though, it is only the aged that speak of such matters. A spirit could in part be laid. It is said that Abel Owen's spirit of Hemblas was laid by Gruffydd Jones in Keelhall in a bottle and buried in a gorse near Llanrwst. This Gruffydd Jones had great trouble at Hafod Ucha between Llanrwst and Conway to lay a spirit. He began in the afternoon and worked hard the whole night and the next day to lay the spirit, but he succeeded in overcoming a part only of the spirit. He was nearly dead from exhaustion and want of food before he could ever master a portion of the spirit. The proceeding is a singular tale, for it teaches that spirits are divisible. A portion of this spirit, repute says, is still at large, while a part is undergoing purification. The following tale was told to me by my friend, the Reverend T.H. Evans, Vicar of Llanwithin. Did it all go good, Si?
Yeah, it was a wrong number.
It's a wrong number. You thought it's work. Nope.
Well, no, it's someone from work.
Yeah.
But it's from a person in a department that I don't ever talk to.
You're like, no, bitch, get out of here. It's like, I'm sick. Leave me alone.
I mean, I may sound fine right now, but that's only because I finally got medicine.
Thing is, you can still be sick and still have a voice. Still sound okay.
Uh-huh.
You know, a lot of people just seem to think sick comes in one term. It's like, no. You could literally just be like, talking fine. You know? Yep. Man flu. Oh no. He's got the man flu. Kid, get up!
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Like, bruh, you need help. Like, no, it's all good, bro. It's all good. It's one of those, like, it's like, bro, we carry on with colds. We just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
The flu, it's like, nah, there's shit to be done. And they're like, you should rest for your health. It's like, if I rest, nothing else will be done.
Oh God. Glad to see that I am not alone in that logic.
Well, yeah, like, especially for me, you know, my partner works, so I'm most of the time on childcare duty as well. So it's a case of, even if I'm sick, it's a case of, well, no, I still gotta take care of this tiny human. You know, it's like, I can't just drop everything because I'm ill. But, like, if he's off work and, say, like, a bad migraine attack hits, like, Fedus, he will deal with whatever needs to be done while I go lie down and, like, sleep in a dark room. Because even with migraine meds, I still have to go sleep in a dark room to shift it. And it's just like, god damn. So this one is called Synon's Ghost. Close to your name. But it's spelt with a C. It's Cynon. Synon.
Oh, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah. So, one of the wicked spirits which plagued the secluded valley of Llanwydden, long before it was converted into a vast reservoir to supply Liverpool with the water, was that of Sinon. Of this spirit, Mr. Evans writes thus: Ysbryd Sinon was a mischievous goblin, which was put down by Dick Spot and put in a quill, and placed under a large stone in the river below Sinon Isaf. The stone is called Carreg Ia Rhyd, the ghost stone. This one received the following instructions: that he was to remain under the stone until the water should work its way between the stone and the dry land. The poor spirit, to all appearance, was doomed to a very long imprisonment, but Dick Spot did not foresee the wants and enterprise of the people of Liverpool, who would one day convert the Llanwydden Valley into a lake 15 miles in circumference, and release the spirit from prison by the process of making their waterworks. I might here say that there is another version current in the parish besides that given to me by Mr. Evans, which is that the spirit was to remain under the stone until the river was dried up. Perhaps both conditions were, to make things safe, imposed upon the spirit. Was it the Dick Spot that got you?
Yes. Because it kept saying, it sounded like you kept saying Dick Spot or Dick Sport, and I'm like...
It's Dick Spot, so D-I-C Spot.
Dick Spot.
Yeah, Dick Spot. So Carreg I Ir Ysbryd and Sinon Isaf were at the entrance to the valley of Llanwydden, and down this opening or mouth of the valley rushed the river that was to be dammed up for the use of Liverpool. The inhabitants of the valley knew the tradition respecting the spirit, and they much feared it being disturbed. The stone was a large boulder from 15 to 20 tons in weight, and it was evident that it was doomed to destruction, for it stood in the river Vyrnwy. Jesus Christ. I hate when they just put like a V and a Y together. It's like, goddamn. Just where operations were to commence. There was no small stir among the Welsh inhabitants when preparations were made to blast the huge spirit stone. English and Irish workmen could not enter into the feeling of the Welsh toward this stone, but they had heard what was said about it. They, however, had no dread of the imprisoned spirit. In course of time, the stone was bored and a load of dynamite inserted, but it was not shattering at the first blast. About 4 feet square remaining intact, and underneath this, the spirit was, if it was anywhere. The men were soon set to work to demolish the stone. The Welshman expected some catastrophe to follow its destruction, and they were even prepared to see the spirit bodily emerge from its prison. For, said they, the conditions of its release have been fulfilled. The river had been diverted from its old bed to an artificial channel to facilitate the removal of this and other stones, and there was no doubt that both conditions had been literally carried out, and consequently the spirit, if justice ruled, could claim its release. The stone was blasted, and strange to relate, when the smoke had cleared away, the water in the cavity where the stone had been was seen to move. There was no apparent reason why the water should thus be disturbed, unless indeed the spirit was about to appear. The Welsh workmen became alarmed and moved away from the place, keeping, however, their eyes fixed on the pool. The mystery was soon solved, and a large frog made its appearance, and sedately sitting on a fragment of the shattered stone, rubbed its eyes with its feet, as if waking up from a long sleep. The question was discussed, is it a frog, or the spirit in the form of a frog? If it is a frog, why was it not killed when the stone was blasted? And again, whoever saw a frog sit up in that fashion and rub the dust out of its eyes, it must be the spirit. There the workman stood, at a respectful distance from the frog, who, heedless of the marked attention paid to it, continued sitting up and rubbing its eyes. They would not approach it, for it must be the spirit, and no one knew what its next movements or form might be. At last, however, the frog was driven away, and the men recommenced their labours. But for nights afterwards, people passing the spot heard a noise as of heavy chains being dragged along the ground where the stone once stood. Oh my god. He's a frog ghost now. Ribbit bitch, I'm coming for your soul.
Oh my god, I want a horror game. Like, it's just a frog coming at you. And then every time you come around the corner, you just hear a ribbit.
Oh my god.
Ribbit.
Kermit's gone killer.
As it sounds, that actually probably would work.
Kermit the killer.
Ah, yes.
Like, what? No! How dare. It's kind of funny though, like when you said horror, the second half like cut off, so it was like I can just imagine a whole game. And I just went, I was like, what?
Yeah, I meant horror. Horror.
He's like, it's a spooky game.
Yes.
We're pure.
Kermit comes in, grabs you, and says, "Hello, Kermit the Frog here."
Oh my god. I didn't know you could do that voice. Oh my god, that's...
Oh, yes. Yes, I can do Kermit the Frog, but it's more of old school Kermit.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. It's like, yes. So this is... Oh my god. I just have that meme in my head. It's like, I do it for you, Kermit. Like, no.
Let me do it for you, Piggy.
Like, for me... So when that happened, and when that like sound first came out, Tiny Dragon became obsessed with it, and so did his dad. So literally, I heard this on repeat to the point where I would get irritated, and then they'd come tootling over to me, and then they'd do it. They'd say the line, and I'm like, in that little weird voice, and I'm like, oh no, this is torture for like weeks on end. I had that. So every time like I hear it now, I'm just like, oh, flashbacks are happening. I'm getting flashbacks. It's like, no. I'm triggered. And what makes it worse is they put such a cute dog with the video too. I'm like, oh, look at that cute dog. And it's like now he's forever labeled as this mean dog. I'm like, no, it's like Doge. Or Moon Moon. Do you remember Moon Moon?
Oh god, I love Moon Moon.
I was like, not many people know about Moon Moon, and they know who Doge is. They just don't know about Moon Moon. I'm like, Moon Moon was OG. Like,
honestly, just hearing the voice, God damn it, Moon Moon, just brings me with joy.
I'm not sure if you know about the farm dog called Fenton, but oh my god. So there was this dog called Fenton. He was a farming dog. and he was supposed to herd sheep. Herd. This bastard chased sheep. Like, he chased them in the wrong direction. And you just see, in the distance, this little herd of sheep go in the wrong direction, and there's this black smudge running in the far fields, and you hear this farmer go, "Fenton! God damn it, Fenton!" I need to find it and send it you later. It's fucking hilarious. And I was like, oh, I miss Vines. I miss them. I highly recommend it. You'd love it. It's just like, oh, god damn.
It's exactly how it sounds.
Yeah.
Fenton.
Yeah, Fenton. Fenton. Fenton!
I'm just gonna put in Fenton. Oh, he's fun.
Yeah. Have you seen the wobbly pug as well? That's a good dog. Doug the pug.
No.
Doug the pug. God. He has like a medical condition. Where when he runs and stuff, his body doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and he has his own little song. Doug the pug has a song. Fenton. Glorious.
I think I know what. Is it Loca the pug?
I think it might be Loca. She's the pug has like a muscular condition. And when it runs and stuff, it's all wobbly and bouncy, and they got like a song for it and everything. I love it. Oh, happy dooges. Ow, ow, ow. Boof. I like when doggos are funny. Doggo be good boy in the. He came by earlier and he's like, "Did you bring me treats?" And I was like, "I did. Brought the goodies." You can't go anywhere though. As soon as you come back, he sniffs you. He's like, "Where have you been? Who is these smells?"
As long as YouTube doesn't come through your Streamlabs, watch that one. Actually, no, it's fun. It's really fun.
Oh, Loca the pug. Yeah, it's the pug that couldn't run. Yeah, that's the one.
Yep, it's Loca.
Yeah, it's Loca. Loca's actually cute.
A pug. I live in Belfast Island and favorite things are hugs.
Yeah, it's a little Irish pug. I love it. So this one is Caithwingreath Spirit. That is a fucking mouthful. There's a double L and a double D in there. Caithwingreath.
Caithwingreath.
Yeah, you have to do the double L, which is the Caith, and then the win, and then it's Greath. But then you have to do it in one mouthful. It's Caithwingreath. There's no fucking space. I'm like, no! People just coming in and they're like, the fuck is she doing? I'm fine. I'm sane. I've been tested. It's fine. So this was a dangerous spirit. People passing along the road were stoned by it. Its work was always mischievous and hurtful. At last it was exorcised and sent far away to the Red Sea. But it was permitted to return the length of a barley corn every year towards its lost home. From the tales already given, it is seen that the people believed in the possibility of getting rid of troublesome spirits, and the persons whose aid was sought on these occasions was often a minister of religion. We've seen how Griffiths of Llanarmon had reached notoriety. Had reached notoriety in this direction, and he lived in quite modern times. The clergy were often consulted in matters of this kind, and they were commonly believed to have power over spirits. The Reverend Walter Davis had great credit as a spirit layer, and he lived far into the present century. Going further back, I find that Archdeacon Edmund Priest and his contemporary and friend Hugh Llwyd were famous opponents of evil spirits, and their services are said to have been highly appreciated because always successful. The manner of laying spirits differed. In this century, prayer and Bible reading were usually resorted to, but in other days, incantation was employed. We have seen how Griffith surrounded himself with an enchanted circle, which the spirit could not break through. This ring was thought to be impervious to the ghost tribe, and therefore it was the protection of the person whom it surrounded. The spirit was invoked and commanded to depart by the person within the magic ring, and it obeyed the mandate. Sometimes it was found necessary to conduct a service in church, in Latin by night, the church being lit up with consecrated candles ere the ghost could be overcome. When spirits were being laid, we are told that they presented themselves in various forms to the person engaged in laying them, and that ultimately they foolishly came transformed into some innocuous insect or animal, which he was able to overcome. The simplicity of the ghosts is ridiculous, and can only be understood by supposing that the various steps in the contest for the mastery are not forthcoming, that they have been lost. These various metamorphoses would imply that transmigration was believed in by our forefathers. Then we hit on to ghost raising now.
I just saw the Fenton one. That actually was pretty funny. Fenton! Man, did he book?
That dog. That dog was popular for quite a good while years ago. I love silly dogs. One of my favorites is, so on TikTok, there is this little sausage dog that loves to pick up giant sticks on their walk, and they just walk with this massive fucking stick, like pointed outside each side of its mouth. People have to move out the way of this dog because it's just little legs trotting around. He's got this stick, and I'm just like, look at him go. And then his other like little sausage dog siblings are just, you know, walking normally with their owner and stuff, and he's just there off leash with this big stick, and everyone stops, moves out the way for this dog, and they just stare in awe at such a tiny dog with such a big stick. I'm like, oh, look at you. I love the little angry faces, though, from Huskies. I'm just like, oh, honey, who hurt you? And they're just like, evil. They just look so angry. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
They look angry, but if you take a Husky to a dog groomer, which I found out on another TikTok as well, of a dog groomer, they will howl the fucking place down. It's so good. They're like, they sing the song of their people. Hello.
It depends on the Husky. I used to have a Husky, really miss her, and she never did that when I took her to get groomed.
I think it's also how you train them as well. If they're introduced very early to like baths and things like that, it's you know, it's not so bad. My doggo, bless him, he's not a big fan of baths. Like, he doesn't need them that often because he's technically he's supposed to be like a working dog anyway. Because he's a short-haired sheepdog. But for him, like, I have to get my partner to literally lift him into the bathtub because he is too heavy for me. But like once you get him sat down, he's pretty much okay. Like, you just have to sort of get him used to it. It's because he doesn't have them too often. You know, and he trims his own nails because when we take him for a walk and stuff, he's an off-lead dog when he goes for a walk in the park. He's worse when he's on lead. He'll pull and he does not like the lead. But, like, when he's, like, when we take him to, like, the big park and stuff like that, he just runs and stuff like that. He's pretty good with trimming his own nails, to be honest. And he learns to wait now as well. He's got his ball. He'll leave it for you, run ahead, and then he'll lie down, as in, like, you know, sheepdogs do when they do the whole, you know, come by and come away thing. They just lie ready to, and like, he knows just to wait. You know, he's pretty receptive. You put him on a lead, it's another thing. He's like, get me out of this thing. Doesn't like it. But off lead, he'll walk beside you. Like, he's a pretty good dog, to be honest, and he's only like 2 years old now.
Dang, the way he was describing him, I thought he was older.
No, Isaac's actually a pretty good dog, to be honest. He's a menace. He's an attention whore.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, but at the minute
with every dog.
At the minute, he's just literally just on his back, on his little sleep chair, little feet in the air, tongue sticking out. He's got a tongue sticking out like a blit.
He is comfy.
He's
right there.
Yeah, that's his chair, to be honest.
Oh
Now,
man.
he's got his sleep space back because, like, that new chair is in the same place as where our old two-seater sofa used to be. And when I used to stream on my laptop, he used to come and sleep on my legs. So sometimes when I am streaming, he comes over to my desk, bat my arm, or just demand pets.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, you're fine. And sometimes if he doesn't get head pats, he will lie down by my chair as if just, and he like paw at my chair and say, "Notice me, mother, please. Notice me." The big baby. So, ghost raising. If the possibility of ghost laying was believed in, the way they say ghost laying gets me. Getting laid, bro.
Ghost laying. Oh, those ecto bones.
I know. So, also the possibility of raising evil spirits. This faith dates from olden times. Fucking raise them.
No, it reminded me of a very funny D&D necromancer joke.
Oh.
It's just like, okay, so an adventuring party and their necromancer friend are all facing the king to be judged.
Mm-hmm.
The king asks, "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" The necromancer says, "I raise a witness."
Oh my god, that's funny. Oh, that one's good. That one's good. I like that one.
It's like, technically, yes.
It's like, yeah, why not? So, Shakespeare.
And then,
okay, carry on.
And then another one was, be a necromancer and make friends along the way.
Oh my god.
I love that one.
Oh, doggo's tail's wagging. Babe's home from work. He's still on his back with his tail's wagging. He's like, I'm awake.
I'm here. I'm here.
The chairs are leather, so like people will be like, what is that whack noise? It's like, no, that's the dog. He's just excited. His dad's home. So he's like, notice me. He was fast asleep a minute ago. As soon as he heard the front door though, he's like, I'm awake. He doesn't bark though, to be honest. He's pretty good with that. Unless it's like a knock at the door, if it's like a mail delivery or something, he's like, nah, people are here. It helps me because I have my headphones on a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, that helped me when I had my two little dogs. Like there was a knock at the door or a doorbell ring. One of them would just end up taking off towards the door, and the other one would just like stay under my desk. However, it didn't help that one of them would bark at a random leaf hitting the door.
Oh god, no, not the leaves.
Yeah. I miss them, but not their poor habits.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Shakespeare to this, as to most other popular notions, has given a place in his immortal plays. Speaking rightly in the name of Glendower, a Welshman, conversant with ghosts and goblins, the poet makes him say, I can call spirits from the vasty deep, from Henry IV, Act 3, Scene 1. And again in the same person's mouth are placed these words, why, I can teach you, cousin, to command the devil. The witches in Macbeth have this power ascribed to them, I'll catch your ear and come to ground, and that distilled by magic slates, shall raise such artificial sprites, as by the strength of their illusion, shall draw him on to his confusion, from Macbeth, Act 3, Scene 5. This idea has continued right to our own days, and adepts in the black art have affirmed that they possess this power. Dr. Benyon, a gentleman well known in his lifetime in and about Oswestry, was thought to be able to raise devils. I find in the history of Finon Elion, page 12, that the doctor visited John Evans, the last custodian of the well, and taught him how to accomplish this feat. For the benefit of those anxious to obtain this power, I will give the doctor's recipe. Publish it abroad that you can raise the devil, and the country will believe you, and will credit you with many miracles, and that you have to do afterwards is to be silent. and you will then be as good as a raiser of devils as I am, and I as good as you. Evans confesses that he acted according to the astute doctor's advice, and he adds, the people in a very short time spoke much about me, and they soon came to entrust everything to me. Their conduct frightened me, for they looked upon me as if I were a god. This man died August 14th, 1858. Holy shit, bro. That is dope. So you just basically say that you do it, people believe you, and then they just don't question it when you just don't do it? Where's the logic? It's like, oh, you said you can, like, raise devils. Raise the devil. Apparently he claims that he does so.
Just without proof.
Yeah. But, like, in those days, like, in those days, like, people believe that a lot.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's like, pics or it didn't happen.
Yeah. So we move on to the witches and conjurers section of Wales now. And there are quite still a few lot of practicing witches right now in the country and around the world, honestly. Like, witchcraft has not died out. And there are many, many types. You know, you can be a cooking witch too. Like, a lot.
That's what my ex-wife was.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. Like, using, like, different, like, foods and, like, herbs and stuff for, like, your spells and cleanses and all that stuff. I think is really cool.
Oh, man, I guess that was too much food.
It's okay. We'll be doing a bit more, and then we'll be reading out. So you're fine, honey.
Okay.
So, from and before the days of King Saul to the present moment, witches have held dreaded sway over the affairs of man. Cruel laws have been promulgated against them. They have been murdered by credulous and infuriated mobs. They have lost their lives after legal trial, but still, witches have lived on through the dark days of ignorance, and even in these days of light and learning, they have their votaries. There must be something in the human constitution peculiarly adapted to the exercise of witchcraft, or it could not have lived so long, nor could it have been so universal, and it undoubtedly is, unless men lent themselves willingly to its impositions. It is curious to notice how good and enlightened men have clung to a belief in witchcraft. It is consequently not to be wondered at that the common people placed faith in witches and conjurers when their superiors in learning professed a like faith. I have often spoken to intelligent men who did not scruple to confess that they believed in witches and conjurers, and they adduced instances to prove that their faith had a foundation in fact. Almost up to our days, the farmer who lost anything valuable consulted a conjurer and vowed vengeance on the culprit if it were not restored by such and such a time, and invariably the stolen property was returned to its owner before the specified period had expired. As detectives, the conjurers therefore occupied a well-defined and useful place in rural morality, and witches too were indirectly teachers of charity, for no farm wife would refuse refreshments to the destitute lest vengeance should overtake her. In this way, the deserving beggar obtained needed assistance from motive of self-preservation from benefactors whose fear made them charitable. But in these benefits were derived from a false faith, the evils attending that faith were nevertheless more disastrous to the community at large, and many inhuman acts were passed in various reigns to eradicate witchcraft. From the wording of these acts, it will be seen what witches were credited with doing. An act passed 33 Henry VIII adjudged all witchcraft and sorcery to be felony. A like act was passed 1 James chapter 12, and also in the reign of Philip and Mary. The following is an extract. All persons who shall practice invocation or conjuration of wicked spirits, any witchcraft, enchantment, charm, or sorcery, whereby any person shall happen to be killed or destroyed, shall, with their aiders and abettors, be accounted felons, without benefit of clergy, and all persons practicing any witchcraft, etc., whereby any person shall happen to be wasted, consumed, or lamed in his or her body or members, or whereby any goods or chattels shall be destroyed, wasted, or impaired, shall, with their counsellors and aiders, suffer for the first offence 1 year's imprisonment and the pillory, and for the second the punishment of felony without the clergy. If any person shall consult, covenant with, entertain, employ, feed, or reward any evil or wicked spirit, or take up any dead man, woman, or child out of his, her, or their grave, or the skin, bone, or any part of any dead person, to be employed in any manner of witchcraft, sorcery, charm, or enchantment, etc., he shall suffer death as a felon, without benefit of clergy. The law of James I was repealed in George II's reign, but even then, persons pretending to use witchcraft, tell fortunes, or discover stolen goods by skill in the occult sciences were to be punished by a year's imprisonment, and by an Act 5, George IV, Chapter 83, any person or persons using any subtle art, means, or device, by palmistry or otherwise, to deceive His Majesty's subjects, were to be deemed rogues and vagabonds, and to be punished with imprisonment and hard labour. Acts of Parliament did not succeed in eradicating witchcraft. Its power has waned, but it still exercises an influence, shadowy though it be, on certain minds, though in its grosser forms it has disappeared. Formerly, ailments of all kinds and misfortunes of every description were ascribed to the malignant influence of some old decrepit female, and it was believed that nature's law could be changed by these witches, that they could at will produce tempests to destroy and produce of the earth, and strike with sickness those who had incurred their displeasure. Thus Lady Macbeth, speaking of these hags, says, "I have learnt by the perfectest report they have more in them than mortal knowledge. When I burned in desire to question them further, they made themselves air, into which they vanished." From Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 5. The uncanny knowledge possessed by witches was used. It was thought to injure people, and their malice towards good, hard-working, honest folk was unmistakable. This afflicted children from sheer love of cruelty, and bewitched animals gratuitously, or for slights which they supposed their owners had shown towards them. Consequently, their knowledge was considered to be greatly inimical to others, and particularly baneful to the industrious, whom witches hated. There was hardly a district that had not its witches. Children ran away when they saw approaching them an aged woman with a red shawl on, for they believed she was a witch, who could, with her evil eye, injure them. It was, however, believed that the machinations of witches could be counteracted in various ways, and by some of these charms shall be given. Life would have been intolerable but for these antidotes to witchcraft. Shakespeare's knowledge of Welsh folklore was extensive and peculiarly faithful. What he says of witches in general agrees with the popular opinion respecting them in Wales. I cannot do better than quote from this great folklorist a few things that he tells us about witches. Mention has been made of witches taking dead bodies out of their graves to make use of them in their enchantments, and Shakespeare, in his description of the witches' cauldron, shows that they threw into the seething pot many portions of human beings. The first witch in Macbeth says, "Round about the cauldron go, in the poisoned entrails throw." The third witch mentions other things that are thrown into the pot as scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's mummy, moor and gulf, of the ravens salt sea shark, root of hemlock digged I the dark, liver of blaspheming Jew, gall of goat and slips of yew, slivered in the moon eclipse, nose of Turk and Tartar's lips, fingers of birth strangled babe, ditch delivered by a drab. Macbeth, Act 4, Scene 1. It was thought that witches could change themselves and other people into the form of animals. In Wales, the cat and the hare were the favourite animals in which witches transformed themselves. But they didn't necessarily confine themselves to these animals. They were able to travel in the air on a broomstick, make children ill, give maids the nightmare, curse with madness. Animals bring misfortune on families, hinder the dairymaid from making butter, and many more imaginary things were placed to their credit. The scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, that's ouch. The personal appearance of witches, as given by Shakespeare, corresponds exactly with the Welsh idea of these hags. On this subject the poet writes, "What are these, so withered and so wild in their attire, that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet are on it? Live you? Or are you aught that man may question? Seem to understand me. By each at once her chappy fingers laying upon her skinny lips, you should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so." Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 3. A striking and pathetic portrait of a witch, taken from Otway's Orphan, Act 2, is given in number 117 of The Spectator. It is so true to life and apposite to our subject that I will quote it. In a close lane, as I pursued my journey, I spied a wrinkled hag with age grown double, pickling dry sticks and mumbling to herself. Her eyes were scalding green with gold and red. Cold palsy shook her head, her hands seemed withered, and on her crooked shoulders had she wrapped the tattered remnant of an old striped hanging, which served to keep her carcass from the cold. So there was nothing of a piece about her. Her lower weeds were all over curiously patched, with different coloured rags, black, red, white, yellow, and seemed to speak variety, wretchedness. Pictures such as this is enough to create sympathy, charity in a selfish heart. But in those dark days, when faith in witchcraft prevailed, such a poor old decrepit woman inspired awe, and was shunned as a malicious evildoer by all her neighbours. And we'll cover that lovely, lovely woman next week. Leave them on a cliffhanger. Leave them on a cliffhanger as we go to read out one of my favourite people. Let's pop into the theme endings, because I'm going to introduce you to one of my favourite VTubers I have found. My darling squirrel Sif. She is absolutely precious. Playing some Elden Ring today. But yeah, she's a good little bean. She's like she hunts tails though, but I'm a dragon she sort of likes. But I would love to thank everybody who has joined us today, and especially to Sai, who has stopped by today. I appreciate it. Especially when he's, feeling ill. I like to make sure he's, cozy and feeling better. And to take his mind off being all sick. Because that's not fun.
No.
Being sick is not fun. I would like to thank everybody who's come to such a chaotic stream today. And thank you, Elbury, for the follow. I really appreciate you, honey. And thank you guys, Nicole, Tick, Bunny, and Legal, and everybody else who has stopped by, who has lurked. I really appreciate you all. Having you join me all the time makes it worthwhile. And we're slowly getting closer to our goal of 400, so baby steps, everybody. Baby steps. But yeah, tomorrow I will be over on Kuroshi's channel to finish some more Dark Deity, because that is such a fun game at the minute. We're having fun with the voice acting, and the game is just really fun to play. And, I haven't done the playthrough myself yet, but, Lion's doing it first, so I was like, you know what, we're getting in on this. And it's super fun. If you guys love the folklore streams today and want to learn more about Welsh folklore that I have covered, you will find all the past VODs that Twitch no longer has most of the time on my YouTube channel. So So if you go and drop a sub to the YouTube channel, all my past VODs get archived there, so you'll never miss anything that I'm streaming. If there's particular games or folklore streams that you're interested in, I highly suggest going to check out the YouTube. For updates on everything I get up to, feel free to drop a follow on the Twitter, and feel free to come stop by the Discord server. We're hosting our first karaoke night on Sunday over on YouTube, on Discord. I can't even speak words today, bro. But yeah, I would love it if you guys would stay with me today to raid out with me to see my darling favorite squirrel, Sif. Swift Avalana is a amazing VTuber. Very, very cute. Very, very peppy. And a little chaotic gremlin and just super adorable. I absolutely adore her. Please give her so much love from Nozomi. I really do appreciate it. I will see you all over on Kuroshi's channel tomorrow if you want to see me and Mr. Lion King enjoy some lovely streams together. I will be linking that up on the Twitter when that happens tomorrow. But if I don't see you there, guys, I'll see you on Monday. But thank you guys for coming today. It really means the world to me. And thank you, Scion. I really appreciate having you here too. But it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Sai. Take care, guys.